let's get into your memories of your talent evaluation portion of the calendar that wound up you being the first overall selection. How many teams talked to you? I mean, what was your combine experience and interview experience like back in your day?
Well, it was probably really similar to Trevor Lawrence's this year. Everybody is automatically assuming he's going to Jacksonville. It makes the most sense for everybody. And that's kind of how it was when I was coming out. The Bengals had the first pick. I actually ended up signing my rookie contract a couple days before the draft. So I knew where I was going most of the process. Chicago had the fourth pick, and they were looking potentially at a quarterback. And that was a team that was talking to me a bunch and trying to figure out how to get up there or how to stay in that fourth slot. And obviously they stayed in the fourth, and I ended up going to the Bengals.
So do you think the Bears tried to knock on Mike Brown's door and say, what do you think? Do you think that happened?
They did. And the Bengals at that point just weren't willing to listen to any trade demands or any trade talks. They were fixated on me. And like I said, I was so excited. They wanted me to come in and sign the day before so that I didn't have to leave New York as soon as the draft was over and fly to Cincinnati to sign. So I flew out to Cincinnati a couple days before the draft, did the photos with the jersey and signed a contract, and then flew from Cincinnati to New York. And as everybody was getting picked out of the green room and getting ready to head to the cities they were being picked by and the franchises they were being picked by, I was just looking for my buddies in the crowd and my family and getting ready to figure out where we're going to go out and celebrate and have some drinks in New York and a big steak dinner.
So did you have, there's no Zoom back then, like phone conversations or in-person meetings with Dick Duran and Jerry Angelo and everybody like that? Is that what went down with that?
I did. I'll never forget. I think it was maybe my pro day at USC, and we went into Heritage Hall at USC there on campus, and I was walking around Heritage Hall showing Jerry Angelo, who was the GM of the Bears at the time, and we sat down and had lunch, and I was like, what's the deal? Are you going to come up and get me? What's the play? And he said, I'm not at liberty to say what's what, but, we're interested in you, and kind of gave me the blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Jerry, come get me, man. This is a great opportunity. At the time, they had Lance Briggs and, Brian Urlacher and Peanut Tillman, all those guys on defense, and they've always seemed to have a really good offensive line. So I was really intrigued by that. But at the end of the day, I just don't think the Bengals were willing to really even pick up a phone and listen to any talks. They had zeroed in on me, and the rest is history.
But you told the Bears, come get me? That's what you told them? Come get me?
Yeah, I was excited about. I'd grown up watching the Bears a bunch on Monday Night Football, and just memories of always seeing them, on national televised games. And Chicago seemed like a really, really great city to go and play in. And I was just looking at that roster, and the roster was dramatically better than the Bengals at that time. So that was intriguing to me as well. And I think they ended up taking a D tackle from Oklahoma. I'm blanking on his name right now. But yeah, they obviously, the Bengals weren't willing to listen. And when the other end of the phone doesn't get picked up, there's no deal to be had.
So I guess while we're teasing this fan base desperate for a quarterback, let's just kick him directly in the nuts. How good do you think you would have been with the Bears? You ever sit there and think about that? What could have been if you were a Bear?
I think it would have been an interesting ride. Like I said, that defense was so good.
Right. They made the Super Bowl a few years later. That's what that happened with Devin Hester and everybody just a few years later. Not too much longer.
They had some weapons. They had some weapons. They were built really well for their division too. That really good defensive line, really good offensive line. They were going to run the ball and control the game defensively. And then Lovie Smith came over and was the head coach and put in the Tampa 2 style defense, which was the perfect scheme for the personnel they had. One of the more underrated players that I ever played against was Lance Briggs, the weak side linebacker. And I think it was just because he was playing right next to Brian Urlacher. But, that team was physical on defense. And then every time we played him, I was pissed at Jerry Angelo. I think every time I played them, I could not wait to play them, and I think we beat them pretty badly every time we played them. So I think I got the last laugh on that one.
Well, the Bears wound up trading out of that spot with the Jets, who traded up to take Dwayne Robertson, a defensive tackle. The Bears moved down to take Michael Haynes, a defensive end out of Florida. And here we are in 2021 with the Jets choosing second overall, looking at another quarterback. So there you have it. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.